What's good, everybody? Welcome back to All Access MMA. We have a special guest today. He's winner of 2 in a row, 3 of his last 4, fighting in arguably his biggest fight of his career against Anthony Smith on November 28th. We have Devin "Brown Bear" Clark. Thank you, Devin, for your time. How's it going today, man?
Doing good, going good. Had sparring already, and now just enjoying my afternoon coffee. So
nice.
Yeah,
I imagine training camp's coming down to an end then. And how long ago did you hear about the fight, and how big of a camp did you get in? How do you feel going into this fight?
I think I've had about 6 weeks. I think that first week is when the fight kind of changed up. I was already down in Albuquerque. I still live in South Dakota, and I just do my camps in Albuquerque for about 6 weeks at a time. I think it was that first week we got the call that that original fight was off against the Russian guy. So it was, not really. It was kind of at a full camp for Anthony.
That's good. What are your thoughts on facing him? Then obviously your opponent, John Jones, or your teammate, John Jones, fought Anthony. So you guys have already had a camp for Anthony before. Do you think that gives you an advantage in a sense for your coaches?
A little bit. It gives me a little bit more insight on Anthony. All the coaches, they've been through film study with Anthony and game planning against him and actually fighting him. So some pretty good insight. But with that being said, it's a totally different fight. Mine and John's styles are totally different. So this will be a different style fight altogether. I feel like John and Anthony, that was more of a technical striking match. And if you've ever seen me fight, I don't like technical striking fights. So yeah, it'll be quite different.
Kind of like from Anthony's last fight against Glover Teixeira, I kind of like could take that into like your fight, because I figure you is kind of like the grinding kind of style, and Anthony kind of came out guns a-blazing that first round. I thought he was going to put Glover away, and then Glover kind of just showed that toughness he has. I kind of think you have a similar style, not obviously the same as Glover, but that grinding style where you just like to wear guys down. So it'll be interesting to see if that, like, I imagine that's your kind of game plan, to try to like wear Anthony down in a sense, right?
Yeah, just really beat him up. Go out there, do my thing, heavy pressure as always. My game plan it's usually pretty similar. If my game plan is to sit there and strike with you, I've failed on game planning. That's just not my style. I'm coming at him. I'm going for the win. I'm going for the finish. Going to wear him out. See who has the best cardio. And yeah, that's kind of my game plan in a nutshell.
I think in your last fight against Alonzo Menafield, a lot of people were hyping him that fight and hyping his stand-up. And I think you literally proved in that fight that you can stand with anyone, because he came out guns a-blazing in that fight as well and clipped you early in that fight. You weathered that storm and genuinely took over that fight right after that and dominated the rest of the way. It was a pretty impressive performance too. It was exciting to watch as a fight fan too, because I for the light heavy division, that was a kind of a big fight to kind of see who's going to take that next step. And now you're getting a shot against Anthony Smith and the clear-cut chance to be in the top 15. What are your thoughts on getting this fight against Anthony? And are you excited to like finally get a shot at a top 10 opponent actually?
I'm super excited to get shot at a top 10 opponent. I've earned it. I 100% believe that. I've earned it. I think this will be my 11th fight in the UFC. I've been in there with some notable guys, including the champion right now at the division and number 4 guy as well. I've made some mistakes in my fights, and that's where my losses come from. But that doesn't make me as a fighter. I believe I've have way more potential than what I've shown. And that started to come out in the Alonzo fight. And I owe a lot to Alonzo Menafield. He kind of changed my life in a few different ways, starting with breaking my face and letting me prove to myself how tough I am. Because before that, I had never been in a fight where I got hurt like that and I kept fighting. I had to flip that switch and overcome severe adversity. And since then, my eyes are are open, and I see things a lot different. I see fighting a lot differently now. I'm accepting of the pain and the getting hit, and being a wrestler, I've never been that comfortable with the violence of getting hit in the face. It's never been comfortable for me. Um, but now it's comfortable for me, and I almost look forward to it now. And I can tell in my sparring rounds and just the day to day stuff. Uh, I invite that pain. I invite that suffering, and I think that's really important going into a fight against a tough guy like Anthony Smith. Uh, he's had some wars, uh, and I know I can have a war with him if I want to. That's not my plan at all. I plan on finish him at the end of the first round. Uh, so, but yeah, I'm super excited going into this fight, having learned what I've learned in my last fight.
It's exciting to talk to you right now again too, because I feel like just in anything in life and fighting, to witness growth in somebody is magical, and I can just see growth already you in 3 months from you just mentally, like you said, just having that fight against Alonzo and getting fucking smashed in the face. It it like it made you, it let you know though, like, because you know that you belong to be here, and now you're getting a shot against
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Smith, who you plan to finish in the first round. So it goes into my next question. Like, fighting is obviously a very physical, demanding sport, but would you say the mental side is equal or more important then?
It's definitely equal. If you're not mentally right, it doesn't matter what you did physically in that camp to get ready for the fight. If you're not mentally right on that night, it's you know uh, everything you just did physically went out the window. If you Because in order to get that physicality to show up, your mentality has to show up first. So if you're not mentally in the fight, I don't care how physical you are, how good a shape you are, it's just not going to work out. So I feel like I have a pretty big advantage going into this fight mentally. For one, the last fight that I had, and then also I'm going through a lot of stuff right now. My mother-in-law, she's not in very good health, and but and I I want to be home right now. I
Mm,
should be home right now. I need to be home with my family, helping my wife and my daughter go through this really tough time, and and I'm not. They want me here. They know this is important. Um, my mother-in-law, she wants to see me fight, and she wants to finish. So that's what we're gonna do. And so having that, just having that behind me, knowing what I'm sacrificing, just being in camp and going to this fight is it's huge. Um, big it's a big one up for me.
definitely. Sorry to hear about your mother-in-law. I wish her a speedy recovery. And yeah, but like you said, like, just gives you that added motivation, and anything like that, it's kind of just, it's bigger than fighting. You know what I mean? So for you, I I understand. I can't understand what you're going through, but I can understand the motivation. And yeah, so I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to totally watching that fight against Anthony. For yourself personally, then, do you do kind of any other things like visualizations, manifestations, or like kind of like, what do you do to kind of connect yourself?
Well, first of all, I have a mental coach, Caleb Rogers, out of
Okay.
Kansas City. We talk weekly. He's actually coming down to camp today, so we do a lot of visualization, stuff like that, and also hypnosis. Um, so it's kind of just mental work, mental
Yeah, yeah.
conditioning, stuff like that. And it helps. I've been working with him for, I think, 2 or 3 years now. So
Nice.
definitely has made a difference.
So obviously, your last fight, you got to fight with no fans. What's your differences between fighting with the fans and no fans for you? Which ones do you like? Which one do you prefer?
I like no fans. Um, it's definitely a different feeling when you have fans and you get a little bit more rush. It's a little more, it's a little more. I don't know if it's more pressure or just like more distraction, something like that. But going into the last fight at the Apex Center, it was just a pure moment where you got two fighters. They're going to fight. There's nothing extra about it. It's the purest form of combat that I've experienced fighting. It's you're just fighting. You're not entertaining people. I mean, obviously there's cameras, but you're not entertaining people directly. There's no instant feedback, and it's just you, the other guy, and your coaches, his coaches, and it's a pretty cool aspect. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I imagine so. Like I could, as a fight fan, I consider it kind of like a chess match because you literally can hear everything with between the corners, the sounds that you're hitting, that are connecting, and both fighters generally have to adjust on the fly because they can hear everything that's going on. Where sometimes a crowd could be distracted depending on where you are in the cage, like you couldn't hear another corner type deal. And for this one, I feel like I said, I feel like everyone has to adjust on the fly, and you kind of get like a truer form of a fight because fans can change it sometimes too. You clip a guy and you hear the roar of the fans, and you just like want to rush in there and get that finish, but now you kind of can be a little more calculated, like, oh, okay, like, should I rush in now or could I just keep piecing them up?
Yeah, it's pretty cool because if you like mind games too, you can really play mind games with your opponent and also with his coaches. You can talk, you can literally have a conversation in the middle of a fight with his coaches or with him. It's kind of like sparring days or anything like that. So guys are really used to talking during sparring and stuff like that. So it's really cool. You can really kind of fuck with people when you're out there fighting. Poker face type stuff and just little antics that could actually change a fight.
Yeah, it's pretty cool aspect actually. So, lastly, before you go here, you're living your dream right now. You're fighting in the UFC. You're fighting a top 10 opponent right now. What advice do you have out there for anybody who's just chasing their dreams and just starting?
Take the risk. When people start this sport, they try to be as comfortable as possible, whether they have a job or they can't figure out between quitting their job and doing this full time. You really have to not lie to yourself about where you are in the progress of the sport and how far you are from making real money doing it. I had almost a full-time job when I was still in the UFC, probably 5 fights in. So once you start making real money, then you can kind of slide into making it a full-time career instead of having a side job or working at night or whatever. But it's really, it's hard to commit to that because you need money to train, obviously. And without sponsors, some people aren't able to get very many sponsors and stuff like that, or your career hasn't gone how you thought it was going to. So you get discouraged or whatever, but just take the risk, work your ass off, and commit. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing in common with every UFC fighter, they fucking committed and they worked their ass off and they gave stuff up to be where they are right now. And they took the risk of not making very much money right away. A lot of guys will look just at the money aspect of it and say, well, I'm going to go a different route. I just can't afford to, take that time to build and this and be broke and train. And it's part of it. And it makes it all that much more sweeter when you do make it at the highest level.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that advice. And I think that just works for anything. Just the one key word I heard there was commit. And no matter what you're doing in life, that's the thing. You got to just commit, go all in. And there's just no half-assing. I like to say you got to kind of just, like you said, especially fighting. Like there's no half-assing in fighting because somebody else, especially whoever you're fighting, your opponent, somebody's working harder than you. You want to be the hardest worker in the room. So, yeah, thank you again for your time today, Devin. If you have anything to say to any kind of friends, sponsors, coaches, whatever. If not, thank you again, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody for your love and support, and continuing to follow me on this beautiful journey I'm on called MMA. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Awesome. Take care, Devin. And fight fans, make sure to watch Devin fight against Anthony Smith November 28th. Have a good day, man. Take care.